everybody, it's Jess here with Bless Jess. Thank you so much for watching for another video. I want to talk to you guys today about things to do that will help you keep your house under control. This is not a professional video. It's just mom to mom sitting down, like if you were sitting out having some coffee with me, which I've got mine right here, and we were talking about how we clean our house and how, like, some tips maybe that I have to give you. This would be how we talk to each other. So I just am holding the camera here, having some coffee. I thought about doing like a fancier setup, but I was like, no, like this is real life. This is not anything like, I don't have a really huge schedule, because that's what I found with cleaning my house. I have like 10 tips here, or maybe more than that, of things that I have learned that help me clean my house and keep it going, like where it doesn't get so overwhelming that I don't want to do anything. But also realizing that rigid schedules don't work for me, and I bet you they're not going to work for you, just because if you have a busy life, if you have kids, if you have other people in your house living, it doesn't always work to have like Monday I'm doing this, Tuesday I'm doing this. I mean, it may work for you, but for me that has never worked. Rigid schedules have never worked, because what happens is life happens, and then the rigid schedule gets thrown out the window, and then I feel like I've failed and I screwed up and I might as well not do anything anymore. It's kind of like the whole diet mentality. Like if you're on a diet and you mess up, you're like, well, forget it. This doesn't work for me. So I have like 10 tips here that actually do work. Back when we first got married, me and David, I knew how to clean house. Like my mom taught me how to clean. I remember as a teenager, my mom would pay me to like clean the house, like not just clean my room, but like if she was really busy, she would pay me, I don't even remember how much, or I would just offer to clean, like say a cleaning lady's coming over, you know, and I would scrub things and I would make the house feel clean. So I knew how to clean, but I didn't know how to manage a home, and things would get away from me, and you really have to be motivated to do a little bit every day. And it took me a while to realize that, and pretty much how I lived at first when we first got married was I would let things get out of control, and then I would panic clean for like a day or two straight. And then I would let things get out of control again, and then I would panic clean for like a day or two straight. And I hated living like that, because I felt like my house was never clean. And when I did clean it, it took me hours. Then we had kids. Things just got more hectic. I tried lots of different systems, and over the years, systems haven't really worked for me, but I have taken lots of different tips I've learned from others and kind of done my own thing. The first thing I want to say, this is later on in my list, but I feel like it should be number one, so I'm going to go ahead and say it first. Realize that your house is not a magazine. Your house is not a museum. Like, it's not going to be perfect all of the time. And this drives me crazy, because as a stay-at-home mom, I want my house to feel clean all the time. I feel better when the house is clean. So I spin my wheels a lot of times trying to get that to happen. But I've come to the realization that it's never going to be perfect. And as soon as I get it perfect, it's going to last for about 10 seconds. And that's okay. We want our house to be lived in. We want it to be welcoming for people, but we don't want it to be so rigid that people are scared to put anything down. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt and realize it's okay if your house looks lived in. I think Instagram and Pinterest and all of these things has made us think that nobody's house looks lived in. And so if ours looks lived in, that we failed. You haven't failed. That's what your house is supposed to be. Especially if you have kids, it's not going to stay picked up all day long. You know, there's going to be multiple times a day that you're cleaning. The other big realization that I had early on, but it is still very, very in the forefront of my mind. It is better to do a little bit every day than to do one big panic clean. Let me say that again. It is better to do a little bit every day, because what happens is if you wait until things get crazy, it takes you way longer. I mean, have you ever waited to do the dishes until like the next day, and then stuff is really dried on and not everything will fit in your dishwasher and things are it's overwhelming. That's the worst. So if you do a little bit every day, it ends up not taking as long, and you don't get overwhelmed and things don't get dried on. And that could go for any area of your house. If you do a little bit every day, It's better than doing a huge clean. Okay, so I'm just going to go through some of my top tips now. Now that I've given you the overall idea here, we're only going to do a little bit every day. And of course, every now and then I do have a day where I really deep clean stuff, and that's fine. But that's not every day. Most days are just casual. They're pickup days. There's things I do on this list every single day. And yes, sometimes it feels like Groundhog Day, where I get up and I do the same thing every day. But I have found the things I do every day save me. Those are the little things that keep your house running. So the very first one, it doesn't matter if I have the flu. It doesn't matter if we have had a crazy busy week. It doesn't matter what's going on. It does not matter. There is no excuse for this one for me. Dishes. Dishes are going to be done every day, because if the dishes get out of control, the whole house gets out of control. I have no idea how this happens, but if your dishes get out of control, your kitchen's going to be out of control. It's going to bleed over into the rest of your house. My family will tell you if they put a dish in the sink, I've really tried to be calmer about this. I do not like it. They will get talked to, because this is our routine. Every night before we go to bed, we run the dishwasher. Now, you may not have a dishwasher. That's fine. Do the dishes before you go to bed. I hand wash a ton of stuff because we have way more dishes than will fit in a dishwasher usually at the end of the day. Do all dishes before you go to bed. I know that sounds like a pain in the butt, but I promise you it will make your day so much easier. When you get up in the morning, before you make breakfast, before you make coffee, unload all of the dishes. Put all of your clean dishes away. I'm sorry if that does not seem fun. It's one of my least favorite things to do, honestly. But throughout the day, as people use dishes, the dishwasher is now empty for you to stick stuff in there. And there's nothing that's going to be in your sink. If something won't fit in your sink, wash it right away and leave it to dry. That's what I do no matter what's going on. Like I said, if somebody's sick, if I'm sick, if hell is raining down, my dishes get done, because I have seen what happens when they get dried on, when they get gross, when they pile up, and then it's overwhelming. As you use the dishes throughout the day, stick them in the dishwasher. As you use a cup, put it up. As you use a plate, wash it, put it up, or put it in the dishwasher. And then at the end of the day, no matter how full it is, run it. And the only caveat I would say is, like, if you live by yourself and you don't run the dishwasher every day, fine. Then do it every other day or every few days. But if you have a family, even if it's 3/4 of the way full, go ahead and run it. And I know that seems wasteful, but I promise you it will be worth it, because if you wait for it to be full, the next day you're going to have like to run it during the day, and then things are going to start piling up in your sink. And I promise you it will be a disaster zone, at least for me, that is. So what I do is, our dishwasher is always full, but if it's ever a little bit more room, I will go around the house. I will find like vases that are dusty somewhere, or anything that needs to be stuck in there. A sponge, like you can put sponges in there to sanitize them. Anything I can think to throw in there while it's already has a little bit of room, I'll throw that in there. So dishes, number one, no matter if nothing else gets done in the house, I do it every single day. The next thing we try to get to, I really tried to make this a priority, and that is make your bed or beds, and also teach your kids to make their bed. There's something, and I didn't used to do this because it just seemed like, well, we're just going to get in the beds, you know, so who cares? But there's something about like mentally making your bed. There's something mentally about making your bed that you will keep things cleaner naturally. You're not just going to throw stuff on your bed because it's all made. At least I don't. And when I go in my room, I'm going to put stuff up because it just feels clean in there. Like there's something about just making it up and it feels clean. Same with the kids. I bought them expensive Betty's comforters. You don't have to do that, but they just zip up so my kids can make their bed without help. And it's worth their weight. They're worth their weight in gold, even though they're expensive, because they can just make them up and I don't have to worry about it. And it looks neat in there. Even if there's toys out and stuff, it looks 10 times neater if the bed's made up. So we try to do that. Another thing that we do every single day, multiple times a day, is we do 5-minute pickups. So I'll just say to my kids, and we always do this at the end of the night before bed. Sometimes we'll do it a few times, like if the kids are home, we'll do it a few times during the day. 5-minute pickups don't sound like much. Like, what could you possibly get done in 5 minutes? I promise you, it will shock you. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Like, and don't clean longer than 5 minutes. We're not trying to trick anybody. Like, set a timer for 5 minutes and pick up stuff around the house, in the floor, on the counters, all the stuff that just ends up cluttered up. Tell everybody 5-minute pickup. And 5 minutes goes by so fast, but when there's several of you doing this, we can get all of our house, all the cluttered, picked up in 5 minutes at the end of the day. Of course, if you don't do 5-minute pickups regularly, it may not make a big dent to do it, the first time. But just keep doing them. And if you can go to bed, we don't go to bed with a perfectly neat house, but I wake up a lot happier when things aren't just a disaster in the morning. Like, do it for your future self. Pick up the toys, pick up the random stuff that just like gets left around. Put it away in 5 minutes. And everybody doesn't mind. Like, I never have problems with kids getting to help me because they know it's only 5 minutes. And we can do anything for 5 minutes. That's what I tell them. We can do anything for 5 minutes. So, another thing I try to live by is if I'm about to set something down, say I'm done with this cup, I'm just going to leave it sitting down on my desk. I try to think, if this is going to take me less than 1 minute to put it up where it goes, I'm going to take it there right now. Less than 1 minute, I could take this empty cup and put it in the dishwasher. So that's what I'm going to do. If I have something in my hand that goes in another room, if I think to myself, will it take me less than a minute to put this up? I'll just take it there right now. You will be surprised how clean your house stays if you constantly are putting stuff where it goes and not just setting stuff down. Now it's going to happen. That's why we have the 5-minute pickups. That's why we have all this other stuff. But if you can mentally, I think about that like all during the day when I want to just set down a dirty, shirt or something. I'm just taking off a kit. Okay, this is going to take me less than a minute to go put it in the dirty clothes. Do that. And I promise you, at the end of the day, you'll be glad you did. Another thing I do is say I'm about to put this cup in the dishwasher and I'm leaving one room to go put it in the dishwasher. While I'm walking there, if I see something else along the way that needs to go in the dishwasher, I'm going to pick it up and take it with me, because then that's one less thing you have to pick up during the day. So whenever I'm going to another room to get something or put something away or go talk to a kid, I'll just take something I notice is out. And it's become like such a habit now that wherever I'm going, I'm constantly gathering stuff to take with me, and it makes a really big difference. So a lot of these things, they seem like, how am I ever going to think of that? Or just like too simple. I promise you, if you get used to doing them, they get easier. They become second nature. Like, I don't think about it. I just take stuff to where they go. But at first I had to think about it. Okay, next step. I have learned, instead of sweeping my floors, I vacuum them 90% of the time. Now, sometimes I still sweep them if it's just something smaller, or I spill something. But I've found that vacuuming does a better job. If you have a nice vacuum that will do a good job on hard floors, most of our house is hardwood. And so I was killing myself sweeping it, and I don't feel like I did a great job when I swept it. I can vacuum a lot faster. It gets all the little stuff up. And also we have a robot vacuum, and I still like to, do a good sweep or a good vacuum on top of that sometimes. But I've also learned that some days just running that vacuum, that little robot thing, it gets up enough that I feel like it's still, this is the thing. I feel like when we grew up, it's not like our parents' fault. It's just like the mantra. We were taught, if you're going to do something, you better do it right. And I think that's fine to teach kids that, but so it's like ingrained in my head. Well, I don't have time to clean right now because I don't have time to deep clean crazy, and I don't have time. So I'm just going to wait. Don't have that mentality when it comes to keeping up with your house. If you have a little bit of time, just do what you can. And it's better than waiting so you can do it right. So a lot of times I would think, well, I I don't want to send the robot vacuum around because I don't have time to go behind it and really do a deep clean, so I'm just not going to do it. Well, just send it around. Like, it's still going to pick stuff up. If you have one of those robot things, those things are amazing. I actually got one. It wasn't an expensive one or anything. It was like a knockoff one for doing a sponsored video. It wasn't even a sponsor. I think they just gave it to me to review years ago. And it doesn't work perfectly, but it does pretty good. And so pretty good some days is okay. That's the mantra of this video. Pretty good is good enough, you know? I might put that in the title. Pretty good is good enough. When you're running a house and you have kids and you have stuff, don't feel like you have to be perfect, because let me just tell you, nobody on this earth is perfect. Your house is not going to be perfect. Your kids are not going to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect, and that's okay. That's okay. Let me see what else there is. Okay. Last tip. I think this is like my last big tip, how I do laundry. Now, laundry, I feel like it works different for everybody. Everybody has a way that they do laundry. How it works for me is I make a pact in my own head and my own heart. Whenever I start a load of laundry, I'm going to see that load through to the end. And that means getting it out the dryer and putting it away. At the end of the day, that's going to happen, because what would happen before is I would start the laundry, but it would live in the washing machine for a few days, and then it would smell bad, and then I'd have to rewash it. Or it would live in the dryer for a few days, and it would get really wrinkled. Or it would live in a laundry basket for a few days, and then, you know, I make it a point in my head to whatever I start, I am going to see it through to the end. Now, is this perfect? No. Do I sometimes not do this? Yes, but I try my best to start a load and finish it by the end of the day. And I personally have found that I have to wash clothes just about every day for us to be able to have clothes and towels and sheets. I'm washing something every day, whether it's the kids' clothes, our clothes, towels, sheets. You may not have to wash it that often, and you may have to wash it more if you have a bigger family or you use clothes faster or whatever is going on. If we're sick, of course, we're going to be washing more sheets and more stuff. If it's like if it's a day I'm changing everyone's sheets, I may do 5 loads of laundry. So it just depends. But the thing that I always remember, whether I'm washing 1 load a day or I'm washing 5 loads that day, I am going to see this through to the end. I'm not going to go to bed with stuff in the washer. I'm not going to go to bed with stuff in the dryer. I try my very best. And this has made the biggest difference in our laundry, because things aren't having to be rewashed. Things aren't having to be re-dried. Stuff isn't living in the laundry basket. And for me, that is the hardest part, is putting it away. I don't like putting stuff away. Don't like putting clothes away. And so things will just live in there for a while. And then I've got like 5 laundry baskets that need to be put away. And that's way more overwhelming than putting away 1 load. So I try to, as soon as I get it out of the dryer, fold it, put it away. And I know that seems annoying. Like, I will literally fold stuff and put it away before I switch what's ever washed into the dryer. Like, if I have a load behind it, I will get that other load put away first, if that makes sense, because it just works better mentally for me. If I wait, it's gonna put me behind. So I don't know if any of that made sense. This is just how it's worked for me. My biggest tip is don't feel like your house has to be perfect. I feel way better when my house is clean. I think all of us like mentally just feel better, but I don't want my kids to remember me like yelling at them for putting a dish in the sink or, you know, for the house to be a mess all the time. And I get through the house sometimes and I'm like, oh my gosh, this house is such a mess. It's driving me crazy. I try not to let my kids hear me like complain about the house all the time. But I also expect them to help me. And like Lucy has chores that she does every day. Nate, we're working with him on making his bed. Even Mark can help us put away toys, and he's 2. So expect your kids to help you and communicate with your spouse. This is another thing I've learned since we've been married for like 13 years. David does not mind helping me. Like, he is the best at helping me. But I have to ask him, because he doesn't see things the way I see things. When I see the house being a mess, like, I just feel like, oh my gosh, like, I need help. Everything's such a mess. And he'll be like, what do you need me to do? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, just look around. It's a mess. if I give him specific things, like if you could take this trash and take it out, or if you could go around and collect all of the dishes, if I give him something to do, like he is amazing. But sometimes we don't ask for help and we just like are the martyrs and we feel like nobody cares. And of course, mom has to do it all. So don't be afraid to ask and be direct with what you're wanting help with. And maybe your husband's different and they see all the things, but I feel like we're all passionate about certain things. And my husband doesn't like, he likes to clean house, but he doesn't like it as much as I do. And so a lot of times I'm the one that's like, okay, we got to have this and this and this, we got to do this. And I'll have a whole list for everybody, you know? So I try to do a little bit every time, not stress out, but also have clear expectations. And it's so funny, like the last year, probably about a year, David has seen, I mean, I've been doing the dishes in the morning, unloading the dishwasher for years. That's been a non-negotiable for me, probably since Lucy was a baby. I started that. Well, he's been up with me enough in the last year to really notice that was my routine. And so every morning, pretty much, David unloads the dishwasher. And I think that just because it has become such a routine for me, it was really easy for him to pick up. And now he does it. But if for some reason he is busy, like on Sundays, he's at church really early. He doesn't normally unload the dishwasher. Well, I could wait and be like, oh, he'll take care of it when he gets home, but I don't. That dishwasher has to be unloaded before I drink my coffee. I just mentally, that's what I say to myself, because as we use dishes, then we can put them back up. So I hope that makes sense. And I don't know if that's for everybody, but if you're overwhelmed with your house, start with one thing. Start with dishes. Once you get that down, start making your bed. And all of these little habits will grow with each other. And the more progress you see, the more you'll want to keep doing it. I hope that makes sense. I love you guys so much. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave me a comment down below, and I'll see y'all guys tomorrow.